Welcome back to the Three Benchwarmers Podcast. And on this amazing Saturday evening, for a variety of reasons, actually no, there's just one reason, but uh, for a specific reason, we are back, and I guess start this episode by talking about that reason. Michigan win 90-80 against their in-state rivals, Michigan State.
I know you guys were at the game, so I'll give the TV perspective here. Very what I saw was a lot of back and forth. Like both of these teams obviously don't like each other. The refs had to step in quite a few times, review a lot of plays, but in the end, it was Michigan who was better. They were able to get over their early issues of not being able to make shots. They were able to stop MSU down the stretch, and they were able to limit their offense for the most part. Kurt Tang actually, made a few clutch threes. Cohen Carr got limited for the most part. Jackson Kohler had a good game. And I'll let you guys take it away because I know Olex here really wants to talk about Mr. Fears himself. So
This is what I saw of the game. Straight. That's all I
it
saw,
was
bro.
not straight belt, all right, but continue.
Straight belt to behind. I want to hear it, bro. If Jeremy Fears didn't do Jeremy Fears things, and by things I mean get 12 free throws that were 10 of which were complete horse, whatever you can use any expletive you want there. Um, this game wouldn't have been close. So simply putting, Michigan State did not deserve to even have a shot at that game, and that's credit to Michigan because I mean, particularly Jax Lendenborg, Morris Johnson, all the front court of Michigan was as effective as they have been. Like if you really want to do a comparison, I mean, this was reminiscent of how good they've been on offense when they were playing against Gonzaga and Auburn, those teams in Thanksgiving weekend. It was great to see it. Morez would have scored another 20 points if he didn't get three fouls in the first half, or I think he had two, and then he got an early third foul in the second half. Um, man, I mean, what a great game! Just again, I'll take it out again, bro. Um, like,
I feel like I'll add on to that. MSU, I feel like the reason they were in this game was because Michigan let them, more so than them being the
oh,
best version of themselves. Adai was in foul trouble for a lot of the game. He wasn't able to play. There was moments in the game where Yaxel was at center, and he just can't compete. He's undersized compared to Kohler and Cooper, so there was some offense going there for Michigan State. And they were able to exploit that weakness until Dusty May decided, all right, like 15 minutes into the second half, that Adai was going to go in, Morez was going to go in, and they were going to play that lineup. And from then on, it just kind of looked like they were in control a lot of it. So, and one I would like to give Michigan State credit on their transition offense. It's just when I was watching on TV, Michigan would make a shot, and then they would just cut over, and the ball would be in the basket already for Michigan State. Like you wouldn't even see how it happened on
I think
those.
Austin can comment on this. We noticed during the game a trend occurring. I think you can speak on it a little
Yeah,
more.
I see Yaxel make a three, and then he just goes like this, staring at the crowd, and then like Jordan Scott is just beaming down the court. Especially that last one that happened. Both the coaches on the bench just got so irate. Like, obviously he's taking over the game, but there was just some lapses, and really it was. I mean, there's probably more than just Yaxel, but there was numerous times in the first half even that he was doing that. But
Yep.
I mean, it
And
went both ways.
Cadeau too, I think, was like they
No,
definitely
commentators commented on it, so it was very noticeable.
they were clip farming a little too much. But no, even with those lapses in judgment, which again I've commented on in the past, is the only thing that can harm this team going forward. They're having a little too much fun, is in other words, is what I'm trying to get at. But besides that, I don't see any team beating this team if they play like that at all. Literally, like even Duke. Like if Michigan played like this, at least offensively against Duke, which I guess give Duke their flowers. Their defense is better than Michigan State's, hence why maybe they didn't play. Michigan didn't play as well. But I mean, if Yax doesn't miss three threes or four threes against Duke and makes them like he did today, going 5 for 6 from three, that game's a Michigan win. And the only reason I'm comparing it to that is because now going into March, the regular season's over. I mean, Michigan and Duke are in a crash course to play in the Final Four or in the national championship. I really don't see any teams beating them at all.
Last thing I'll say about this game was Trey McKenney also played really well in his elevated role. He had to come in and take in those LJ minutes, and what he was doing, he was actually creating offense. I saw him have a bump fade away from like the mid range area, got it going for them when Cadeau was on the bench, and he was able to sink some threes as well. So if he can continue to play like that, I think Michigan will be completely fine without LJ. I'm sure they would still love to have him, but if Trey McKinney can play like that, just play a nice role, doesn't even have to be scoring, just like facilitating. However, whatever he was doing this game, just keep doing that, and Michigan should be fine when Elliot Cadeau's on the bench.
Yeah, and talking about Elliot Cadeau, his role was increased. He had 33 minutes today, only 2 points and only 2 assists. And you'd think that like he had a horrible game, another one of his
I
horrible
just didn't
games.
see the ball in his hands that often, for being honest.
No, but that's a good thing because the less you see Cadeau, the less you talk about him. That means that the less negative things he's doing. It's like a goalie in hockey or soccer. If you're not or refs, if you're not talking about him, that means they're doing their job.
You don't want to
Um,
talk about Elliot Cadeau.
so yeah, well, yeah. Usually, whenever anyone mentions his name, it's not in a good light. And
Well, last
thankfully,
time against MSU, he played great, so it's not like
against
there's
State, yeah, I guess. But that was when that was two. That was a month ago. So. Um, Yeah, no, just like we said when LJ was out, when LJ initially was deemed out for the rest of the season, as long as Cadeau doesn't, mess up, doesn't like completely destroy the game for them at least offensively, Michigan will be fine, and that was proven today. And then lastly, I guess because you were wrapping up, I also want to wrap up with one thing that I know gets a lot of views, and so I'm gonna start talking about it.
uh,
Man, is Jeremy Fears the worst player in college basketball? Like no one even like I don't understand how Michigan State fans defend him. Like you have to be like literally enormous amounts of copium to defend him. The only people defending him should be Izzo and himself, and that I understand because you're the coach. You're going to defend him, even though I think to some extent you should be accountable for your player's stupidity. But I understand you want to support your player, but man, like dude, watching the game in person, watching him flop every single possession in person was somehow 50 times worse than on TV. And it just abhorrent. Like every single time he drives to the rim, his head is thrown
you
back.
want to know something
He's
funny?
he's on the ground every single time he tries coming around the screen.
in the
He like just
broadcast,
falls,
in the broadcast,
collapses.
right? When he kicked Ellie Cadone in the nuts, they had a highlight reel ready of his dirty plays, and they started with
Really? Yeah.
they started with the one where he punched Yaxel. So I see where you're coming from in that aspect. He definitely needs to clean it up. He's like a Grayson Allen like regen. But in terms of, probably in contention for Big Ten Player of the Year.
Not anymore. Someone made their claim today for Big Ten Player of the Year, and that's Yaxel Lendenborg. And I think the Big Ten should take into account how horrible of a player Jeremy Fears is, and the negative stain that he has on the Big Ten and Michigan State as a program, and not give him a reward that high. I don't even think he deserves first team, quite honestly, just because of his antics. He's a good player, but to be fair, he's only a good player because if you touch him on defense, it's a foul. And I could not have experienced like I was give last week. You guys were surprised. I was complimenting him, right? Everything went out the window this game. Everything. I take back every good thing I said about him as a player because frankly, unless people are, you saw the couple points that he did get, it's because Elliot Cadeau is putting his hands up because he doesn't want to foul him. Morris Johnson is not running back full speed because he's going to start twerking onto him like Jeremy Fears is if he does end up trying to run back at full speed. So I can keep on going, right? This like if you watch Michigan State, you can see this happen every game because I wasn't, that focused on Michigan State games because I was, obviously rooting for Michigan a lot more, and I have stuff to do with my life. This game, I was tracking Michigan. I was tracking Jeremy Fears down the entire game. Abhorrent. You don't under like. This is like SGA, like what people were memeing SGA about last year in the NBA. This is worse than that somehow because it's every single possession, and SGA at least can make his shots. He's a good shooter, good dribbler and whatnot. Jeremy Fears sucks at shooting. He can't shoot. All his offense just comes from foul baiting. Literally, that's it. Nothing else. Either letting him get to the rim because people are scared to commit a foul, or shooting free throws. I mean, what again? 12 free throws, 10 of 12 from free throws. A bunch of crap. Even the flagrant foul on a Daimara, right? He grazed his shoulder and his head snaps back as if he just got sniped in the head. The, it's and like I'm drinking my tea right now because I was screaming at him the entire game. I can barely talk right now. Like my throat's hurting because he deserves it. He deserves every single negative criticism that he gets. He deserves it.
I
That's
just
that's my
I
rant.
just want
You
to
guys
say
can go
that,
ahead.
when MSU had Denamojic on the floor, they were absolutely like literally nothing happened for them. I saw Denamojic end of the first half, literally like 2 minutes out there, and I think Michigan went on some at least 5-0 run. So he's very vital to not just, what they do in terms of what do you want to say?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, what do you want
Denim
to say?
Wojcik had the only plus minus in the entire Michigan State team. He had the highest plus
Yeah,
minus
how
of
many
plus three.
minutes did he
Everyone else
play?
had a negative
How
plus
many
minus.
minutes did
So,
he play?
on the contrary, I actually think he played pretty well. So, but yeah, generally speaking, I guess that is the
How
case.
many minutes did he play?
3.
Uh,
Three?
how many? Like 10, I think. Three?
3
No, three.
3
Okay,
with
it
a
felt like he was
turnover and
out
a
there
foul.
longer. Maybe when he was out there, it felt like longer because I was suffering more as a Michigan fan because you know, actually watching some good ethical point guard hoops instead of watching Jeremy
You're
Fears. But
watching Denamojic dribble around the freaking perimeter until about
Yeah, he
10
doesn't
5
shoot the
seconds
ball at
left,
all.
and then
He,
he
he,
just
he has
tucks it,
no he has zero shot tendency. So
and he'll literally
highest
pass
plus
it to
minus.
like
That's all I'll say.
I don't know
That's
if he was on the
all.
floor when Jesse McCullough was, because Jesse McCullough got in early in this game. I didn't see him
for
shoot a
one
terror.
minute.
Yeah, 1 minute. I didn't see him shoot his terroristic shot, so just had to comment on that. All right, well, we'll move on to this game. We'll just go to a closer game in Michigan versus Iowa. That one, there was genuine. I, the advertisers of the game, they made it seem like there was an upset brewing here, and there definitely could have been. Like Michigan was one or two shots away from blowing this game away. Bennett Sturts, he just never needs a rest. I think coming into the game, he had 3 minutes of rest in the last 11 that he played. So, this is just a team that can light it up from three, and Michigan was able to limit that enough to get out of Iowa with a win.
I mean, to be fair, Iowa could not hit a three to save their life for periods of the game too. But Michigan did have 18 turnovers, so that doesn't help them at all. Even, I mean, obviously they still won, but you just can't do that against anybody else, really. At least teams that are better. Like Iowa can't. They've proven it this season. They can't compete with big teams. Like they'll come close, but their physicality is just like they probably got out rebounded by 2x that game. It was just like they don't have the size either. They just play
I mean,
gritty.
if you're a one-player team, which to be fair, a lot of Big Ten teams are this season, it feels like Ohio State, Iowa, UCLA,
Wisconsin.
um, Wisconsin's too. They have Blackwell and
That's right, and Boyd.
yeah. But yeah, a lot of these like even you go lower down in the ranks, Indiana with Wilkerson, Northwestern with Martinelli. I can keep on going, but um, man, is it hard to play in the Big Ten? That's what makes Michigan's 19-1 record so much more impressive, because you have all these teams that. I mean, if you put any of these guys like these star players on these teams on any team like that's higher ranked in the Big Ten, they're like going to be contenders for at least first team Big Ten, first team conference. So having to face a lot of these guys will probably prepare them for March, and then obviously it's just an impressive feat in itself to only lose one game.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Wisconsin's shown they can beat anyone on any day. So, they'll probably get in as like a lower seed in the tournament. I think I saw like 11 seed. Maybe they get up to like 8 or 9, depending on how they do in the tournament. I'm sure that's what matters for them. But, I think regardless of what Michigan does in the tournament, I think with a win, they're solidified as a 1 seed. I don't know if a loss kicks them out after what they've done all of this year.
Oh, you mean for like for
Oh,
March?
Big Ten
They're
tournament.
confirmed to one seed. They're not. No one's. They're not after like the way that the committee judges the tournament. They're guaranteed a
Here's
one
also an
seed.
interesting thing. I saw that Michigan State during the broadcast they said they were projected 2 seed, which I guess right now they're ranked 8. They would be like the last 2 seed in the tournament. But I think did they secure a triple bye in this tournament? Like all of the buys that they could get, or are they? Do they still have to play another day? They did. Okay. So I think their performance is what we need to look out for more than Michigan's more so because Michigan State can definitely fluctuate from I think from anywhere from 2 to 4 seed depending on what happens in the rest of the tournaments in the conference tournaments. So that needs to be watched out for. And a game we didn't
Yeah.
talk about was this Rutgers one. Austin, I'll let you talk about that because they struggled with Rutgers earlier in the year too, going to OT in that rough patch of the year.
I just want to say Rutgers has a guy who should be like in the Mr. Olympia competition for how big his shoulders are. Like he literally cannot be stopped by Kohler Cooper. Like the 5 minutes he played in the second half, 12 points, 6 for 6. Just unguardable cheese. He's tall, but other than that, I mean, they struggled in the first half, but it really wasn't close in the second half until Tom Izzo pulled some crap and played 5 seniors at once and choked a 15
Oh, for
point lead with a
senior
minute and 10
night.
left.
Yes, of course.
Yep. 15 points with a minute and 15 left, and it became a one possession game. So playing Barry Sanders' child when you're like getting full court pressed is certainly a choice. And that's just I mean, there's not too much to complain about. It's just they still won, but Rutgers definitely has some young players that I think if they don't get like tampered with or something or leave in the portal, then they'll probably be okay. But not too much to write bad about that, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming out with a win against Rutgers at home. It's still a close game. Shouldn't have been, as you know, even the one in New Jersey should not have been close. But they exited both with a win. So Big Ten play. All these teams are tough. There's essentially no off night, so it's impressive that both of these teams did what they did in the conference. And then we'll move on to the Lions, who probably had surprisingly the most news out of all of these teams. They released Decker, they traded Monty, and then free agency opens. They lost out on the Max Crosby sweepstakes too. I don't know how involved they were in that, but there's just a lot to talk about there. What did you guys think about Montgomery getting traded?
Not a bad move. I can't critique it. My- Obviously, Demo didn't really want to stay here. We heard during the NFL Combine from some insider sources that said he was asking for a trade. So if you don't want to be here, you're taking up a lot of money relative to other running backs that are your similar skill or like get the similar stats as you do. At least for other teams. Um, yeah, let him go. I mean, we'll find another running. There's a lot of running backs in free agency that are good RB2 candidates, so that you can get for much cheaper. So I'm not really mad about that trade.
Yeah, I mean, we got rid of Jamal Williams, and a lot of people felt the same way. And I mean, having that secondary physical running back is important, but because you don't want Gibbs to get injured from high usage like Bijan, because he has to go without Algier this year as well. But we got a fourth, a seventh, and an interior lineman that might be serviceable.
Juice
I don't
Scruggs.
know. Juice Scruggs, I've never heard of him, but he didn't let up a sack last year in over 300 snaps. So, which I guess he's an interior lineman, but still, I mean, getting a fourth round pick even for David Montgomery is probably solid, let alone 2 picks. You could definitely find a running back in the draft even. There's some good ones at the combine, but I'm
And
not too mad about it. I mean, he's had great moments with us and I'll miss him, but I mean, you got to move on at some point from some of these players.
like not in an emotional standpoint, like I think we're all pretty sad that it happened. You're splitting up the Sonic and Knuckles tandem. But on a professional standpoint, there's running back is the most replaceable position in the NFL. In a fourth round pick, I think both of the Penn State guys are declaring this year, and are they both like Nick Singleton and I forgot the other one's name, but they're both kind of power back adjacent guys to replace that role, or as you said, a lot of guys in free agency to replace that for probably like 2 or 3 million a year. So it's not the worst thing ever, but what I would like to talk about more, I kind of didn't see this coming, but the more I look at it, the more it makes sense in the cutting of Taylor Decker. I didn't realize his cap hit was 20 million, and he's kind of aging, so that's a tough decision. A lot of the Lions fans love him. It's I'm glad I'm not the one who had to make that decision.
I mean, I don't remember the last time he played a full season without getting injured. So I'm the fact that he wanted more money this season while renegotiating his contract. Um, I mean, you get what you deserve, I guess. You're gonna ask for more money, fine, cut him. Try to find another team that's actually gonna give you that money. Again, from a business standpoint, from a football standpoint, this. I mean, it's a good move. Good idea not to resign him. Good idea to cut him again. Open up some salary cap space. I don't think he would have been. I think he would have literally his arm might have fallen off halfway through the season, like it does every season. So
Yeah, he's always in like a
good
heavy
thing that
cast on his like arm, one of his
yeah,
arms.
good thing that we let him go. Obviously, a lot of respect for him and Demo. But
Yeah.
at least those two players, leaving gives us a lot more cap space to work with, and hopefully get a piece or two, especially in free agency.
Hopefully they also you know, like reconstruct Goff's contract because he's going to be at 70 million the next year cap hit. So that's like a quarter of our entire team. But I want your guys' opinion on the future. Like I don't know if Branch or Kirby will ever be the same. I mean, he's coming off an
Kirby
ACL
was at the
injury.
game today, by the way,
Yeah, he was throwing
for
shirts into the
anybody
stands, so
watching.
his knees got to be a little bit better. But him and we have to re-sign Campbell, Gibbs, and Branch. So I don't know. Mark, do you have any idea what do you think's going to happen? You think we're screwed?
If Jason Tatum has taught me anything, it's that Brian Branch will come back in about 3 months. 3 months time, and he'll be the same player. No, but legitimately, it's worrisome. In the NFL, an Achilles is much more serious than in the NBA. Especially with a position like safety where you're having to, backstep a lot. So you're actually putting a lot of pressure on that Achilles, that calf region. It's, 100% they should sign a safety or something, maybe on a 1 or 2 year deal to see, evaluate Branch, evaluate Kirby. I saw Fitu Melifonwu is a free agent, bring him back. He was great while he was in Detroit. So, if you can get 1 or 2 bridge kind of safeties to evaluate Kirby, evaluate Branch, I think that's best case scenario there. I think Branch is out for the year, or at least most of it. If he does come back, it'll be playoffs, and he won't, be up to game form with an injury like that. So, 100% need something in the secondary.
Yeah, for sure. And thankfully, there are a lot of those a lot of players that you can take a hit at that are cheaper than they should be in terms of secondary players. Yeah, I was going back. I just want to make a quick point. Kirby Joseph was at the game today. I don't really know what connection he has to the University of Michigan, but he's out there throwing jerseys, and he seemed perfectly okay. So through my personal analysis, I think he can get back on that torn up knee and start. Just based off of personal footage and in person footage that I've seen
There's just so many
through my own
questions.
eyes.
In
There's just so many
person
But
footage.
questions
no,
that need to be answered. It's bad. Like Kirby was the highest paid safety at the time of his re-signing, and you just can't waste years of that contract if he can't come back. And even, I mean, would you want to sign Gibbs for 4 years, $80 million, like they're claiming? Like that seems very, very risky for any running back.
Gibbs, I would. Gibbs is one of those players that you need to resign. Like
4 years,
there's
20 million.
levels, right? Like there's a lot of I would give Gibbs the key to the city, uh, because he's been our best player by far these last 2 years. And honestly, if like Montgomery was our RB1, I don't know if we would have even won 7 games last season. So or six even. Gosh, I mean Gibbs with his 300-yard games and stuff like that, they're just insane. If
Here's
he's a if
here's the only
he
point
is
I'm going to make.
yeah.
26 or when was it? Le'Veon Bell hold out. Best running back in the league by far at that point. He holds out he goes to a new team for, the Jets for however much money he got his money, and then he wasn't the same player. So,
Different team
with the
though,
running backs,
right?
there's always a fear of not producing. But the silver lining with Gibbs is that he has the receiving upside, which keeps running backs more relevant for longer. We saw that with Matt Forte. Wasn't necessarily like as good of a rusher as Gibbs, but receiving wise, he was playing into his mid 30s, early to mid 30s. So maybe 20 million is a little bit much, but
Yeah, well,
I think the biggest thing is this Goff contract.
hmm
I wouldn't even be terribly mad if they took a quarterback first or second round in this draft. Not because Goff is bad in any way, shape, or form, but because we've seen that when quarterbacks sit behind an experienced guy like a Jordan Love, like a Patrick Mahomes, that they come in and they're immediately better than the guys who start week one, like Cam
this
Ward week
isn't the
one.
draft to do that, Mark. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Hey, just
I'd
wait till
wait.
Some Drew Aller or something.
yeah, he'll fall to us in the
Sixth
third
Just
round.
round.
you know what? Just wait
We'll
until
take a
we get
shot on
enough
him.
players to literally make an offensive line because I think we have like two guys that can legitimately play any
I'm
sort
you
of
know
football in a
I'm
line.
not saying
So
they should. I'm saying they should draft top O lineman, top cornerback, whoever's available in the positions of need. But I'm thinking relatively soon they need to start thinking about this quarterback situation.
well,
I
they
think
can't
they're
really do anything because even if whatever they tried doing with Goff, he can't get traded. He isn't allowed to. I don't
He has a
believe
no trade
with his
clause.
contract clause. You can't really do anything. You just have to take it, and it's their fault for letting Goff sign that contract. But you have to stick with him now and
yeah, but it's
build
just going
around
to be
him.
problematic because next offseason, the whole 2023 draft class is free agents, and we just don't have the money to re-sign all of them. So, like
Here's the
Gibbs
strategy.
just can't go on
Kyler Murray on the
branch
minimum. Sorry, continue.
on the minimum. No way he's that bad,
No,
bro.
no, 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 no. Here's the thing. He has to sign for the minimum because he gets 35 million from the Cardinals guaranteed, and whatever teams pay him, like say the Lions or whatever team signed him for 10 million, the Cardinals now only have to pay him 25 million. So if he gets the same amount of money no matter where he signs for what contract. So he will be signing for a minimum to whatever team he goes to.
I don't know if I want to see Kyler Murray running around, but
I wouldn't mind. I'd take Colin Murray over Jared Goff. Just if we could trade contracts and if Goff's contract would just disappear and we would get Kyler Murray in exchange, I would take it in a heartbeat because that would fix so many problems. It would free up so much space, and we wouldn't get that much worse of a quarterback. Because frankly, like I've said in the past, Goff is not it. Goff is not winning us the Super Bowl. So, and obviously that's the goal. So.
Here's the thing. Well, my only comment on one Kyler Murray here. I think he would genuinely be a better piece of this offense than Jared Goff because solely he could open up the run game more for Gibbs because the defenders they could run a read option. I feel like if one of these years, if Goff was semi-mobile, if he was Stafford mobile, maybe a little more, it could have produced much better. Like even that little bit of time, that half second is all Gibbs needs to accelerate on the edge. I'm not saying that Stafford is like a huge threat, but the ability to scramble keeps the linebackers honest, it keeps them in the middle. Goff is kind of a statue in the pocket. I mean, he can dance around in the pocket, but once he like moves or tries to get out of there, he's kind of a lost cause. So, under pressure, we saw the O line collapse, and along with it, so did Jared Goff in the like entire Lions season. So, if we have to stick with Jared Goff with the $70 million contract. So realistically, top needs are just linemen. Get bodies out there, sign people, draft people, get people in front of Goff, in front of Gibbs, and try to recreate what you did in when you made it to the conference finals against San Francisco and not blow a lead. So
dude, even 2 years ago, our line was insane. Probably the best in the NFL. Like you would just push them 5 yards down the field every play, and now last year was just completely different. I'm sure Ragnow had to do with that, but
I just want to say one thing about that. I think if we had a player like Kyler Murray, and obviously I'm only bringing him up because Mark, you brought him up. If we had a player like Kyler Murray, we wouldn't be talking so much poor things about our line because our pass blocking stats would have increased dramatically because our quarterback would actually be able to move. Um,
All I'm
so,
saying is that the Cardinals
you
also had a
know,
crap offensive line, and Kyler didn't do well. But here's the last thing I'll say about Kyler. You know who our offensive coordinator is now? You know where he came
Exactly.
from? All I'm saying is that he's not coming here unless he wants like a Steelers Giants situation. So
We're gonna get Jacoby Brissett instead.
Jacoby Brissett, like a serviceable backup, is so underrated in the NFL. It's unbelievable. God forbid something happens to Goff and you have to put in who was our backup last year? Like Kyle Allen?
He was solid in preseason, bro. Definitely was Kyle Allen though.
I just have an idea. What if we trade Jared Goff for Shadur Sanders? The Browns will take that because, you know, exactly.
Or or
See,
or or
I
or
would do
or,
that. I
or.
know it's crazy
Listen, listen,
talk and this
listen,
is all
listen,
just
listen. No, no, no,
stupidity,
no, no.
but
This is crazy talk.
I would do
We're
it.
we're sticking with the Browns, right? You know who has an even contract might be worse than Goss? You know, he also has about 30 or like a few masseuses to deal with. You know, if the trials are gone and they're sticking with their guy in Shadur, trade away Goff's contract. You get Deshaun Watson. He comes here, he plays a year of terror ball, and then he's gone. I think his contract expires at the end of this year.
I mean, this is
So
all very hypothetical because we cannot trade Goff like legally,
I
but
I don't think we
um,
can legally trade for Deshaun either.
yep. I think that's
Anyways,
a good way to close our discussion on the lines, unless anyone has anything else to say.
Dude, holy cow, he makes 5 years, $230 million.
and I think he's played like a year of that contract and then tore his Achilles, legal trouble. And was never
Just like
good with the
Terry
Browns.
Arnold. Yeah.
Anyways,
Game is game.
game is all right. Whatever. Let's talk about some other game in the Pistons here, who have played some of the worst ball we've seen from this team this entire year.
Not just
This
from
whole
this
playoff
team in
series.
general in the NBA. I'll just point that out. But yeah, go ahead.
You know, against the Cavs, against the Spurs, hard opponents. You played the Cavs close at the very least, but they were still without Donovan Mitchell. You still lose that game. It's I guess it's a loss you can take, but literally against a direct East rival, it's a really sucky, really bad loss. I know I just said it was good, but I'm gonna retract my statement and say this is a bad loss. And then we go to the Spurs, where we all were watching this and we all saw that Victor Wembanyama is just I don't know how to describe his skill set in a way that justifies it without glazing, because I think whatever I say, it will sound like glaze, but I think it's absolutely like I don't know what else to say. I think I'll just say 2K does him justice.
Do they?
Maybe not on
Is he
offense.
even good enough on 2K?
If on offense he could like, had a few more like in the paint and could like maybe a bit more on three. I don't know. I just think he's here's the thing, right? That was the year that the Pistons sucked massive, like awful poop. And they lost there's no losers in the lottery, but they lost.
They
They
got
lost
fifth.
that lottery. Granted, we ended up with a SAR, but I think 10 out of 10, C9, like, competent, functioning human beings who are fans of the Pistons would take Victor Wembanyama over Asar. That is not a hot take. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, it was so dumb because I mean, I'm sure it was partially due to us getting Cade, a couple years, whatever before that. It's hard to win two lotteries, and we saw it with the Spurs getting Wemby and the Mavs getting Cooper Flag out of nowhere. Like it almost has to be like rigged to some extent because there's no way. And I even just saw a mock where the Thunder get the number one pick and take Cam Boozer, and the Spurs get the second pick. So it's possible again this year, and. I
who
don't know. But
whose pick do the
Wemby is
Spurs
just
have to be in the second pick area? Because this is reminiscent of 2004 Pistons level, like
yeah.
picking in the lottery right now.
I think it's the Hawks pick, but they would have to jump pretty far to get to number one. But I think they could be in the lottery.
If you're in the lottery, there's a chance, and we've seen that time and time again. You know,
Yeah, dude, the Mavs like flew up from like the double digits, I think, to number one. So it's like egregious.
yeah.
Oh, and I just got some breaking news, a different topic, but LJ Kaysen is most likely going to redshirt next season. So he is not Jason Tatum. Um, I think I wanted to, say that right now because it's pretty big news for basketball. It's our content that does the best, so I feel like it's relevant. But um, you guys have any comments on that real quickly?
I think for his career, it's a smart move. If I'm LJ Kaysen, I would do the exact same thing. I don't know if he'll transfer. Probably not in the recovery process. When you're recovering, you usually want to stay in one place, know what you're familiar with. But it opens up the door for his career. So on, if I'm LJ Kaysen, this is great. If I'm Michigan, I think this is also a good move for them as well. You get to keep him around. You get to recruit another point guard or two. Maybe get an older guy, senior from the portal. I think Cadeau still has another year of eligibility. I don't know if he'll stay. I don't know if he'll go. But you get another guy to back him up, older guy in the portal, and don't miss a beat when LJ comes back. Hopefully the same player. ACL tears are scary. You've seen players' careers ruined. You've seen them come back and be even better in some cases. So
Yeah, I
Yep,
mean,
Cadeau has to stay now, in my opinion.
yeah, I mean, even like to come back from an ACL, I think he's doing it the right way because we saw Kevin Durant take almost 2 years, and he was just a better player. But like, I mean, obviously, trying to rush it, you could do something dangerous or not be the yourself. But I mean, if he's already going to miss till at least January of next year or February, it's probably worth it just to call it quits for the whole season and just get better. I'm sure they could find a replacement. They did this year in the front court after Dusty May realized that they needed more physicality, and it's obviously worked. So I would put trust in him at least to figure it out if this is what he wants him to do next year.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought I'd put
no,
that
that's
out
that's
there
good.
since.
That's good. What's
All right, go back to the Pistons
I don't want to.
and dogging on
The
them. Yeah.
abysmal Nets game.
All right, to be fair, they didn't have Cade, but losing to the Brooklyn Nets in the Big 2-6 is actually egregious work. This is just
Didn't they have good? They had quite a lead too in the third quarter. They got outscored by 13 in the fourth quarter. So
what I'm seeing here is that, to be fair, I think in the Spurs game, Asar also went down with an ankle injury and he's been out these last 3 games. But that's still, you're missing Cade, you're missing Asar. Jalen Duren, he shot abysmally that game. I think he went like 7 of 19. Something,
yeah,
couldn't step up as the number one guy. He still put up good points. He still went like decently from the line, but without someone to get him the ball in Cade and like an elite guy like that, it shows that this team needs Cade to run. And that was not good. Not good. How do you lose to the Nets even without
Oh,
Cade? Whatever.
Michael Porter Jr. That's why
Yeah, and he should be a Piston. But you know who we
he,
got?
he went 10. He
Kevin
went 10 for
Herter.
25. He got to chuck up 25 shots against the Pistons. So I'm sure he's having a blast in Brooklyn. But
yeah, maybe he didn't want to leave. He likes that sort of
he
atmosphere
wants to
for
take over
himself.
Cam Thomas's role and just chuck up shots.
He got his
Yep.
ring. He can get whatever money he wants now. I mean,
Yep.
and then
I want to quickly point out, I guess, summarize this whole thing because we can talk about this past week all that we want. But I think the only valuable way of talking about the Pistons is about the future. And obviously the playoffs coming up really quickly. I don't think they're going to be a one seed anymore. But I was driving down to Ann Arbor, obviously back from spring break, and I was listening to 97.1
the
Ticket.
ticket.
And those the Michigan State Propaganda Network, or otherwise known as, and they were talking about the Pistons, and the whole point of the conversation was who the Pistons should add to their roster. I was thinking, wait, aren't we like towards the end of a season? The trade deadline's over. In the middle of the
Only
season.
guy you can have is like
Isn't that
G
not
leaguers.
possible? And I listened to them talking for like a good 15, 20 minutes. I don't know why anyone would be talking about additions to this team at this point in the season. I think we just have to admit that we're screwed for this rest of the season, and we just have to like just think of any way to salvage it.
Listen. Let me
And
tell you why
yeah,
we're screwed. Let me tell you why we're screwed. It has come to my attention that Kevin Herter still sucks, but Careless Pervert, he has gone out there and he has put up miserable stat line. I've been avoiding this topic. I was a Karis LeVert enjoyer when he signed here. I'm like, okay, that's a good signing. But I also didn't mention everyone in the comment section. When I crapped on Tobias, Careless Pervert. When I crapped on Kevin Herter, Karis LeVert. This is the guy who realistically needs to be addressed. He is the elephant in the room. Address me. That is literally like the big frame. He is the elephant. Address me top to bottom. He is so awful. And in that overtime, right? Or no. Let me go back to this Heat game. I think Marcus Sasser started. And here's the thing. No disrespect towards Marcus Sasser. I love him as a player. But Karis LeVert, in his current position in the NBA, should be starting this game. But JB knows that him and Kevin Herter are part of a terroristic Al-Qaeda duo that has been sent to the Pistons to sabotage their chances of not only just being the 1 seed, but of getting out of the first round. Because if they continue to, just shoot up, and they're not even bombs, they're literally just like, how do I best describe the noise that, the ball just straight rim. It's just giving the rim a rim job. It's not even close. These guys, professional NBA players, get paid to stand there and just shoot the ball poorly. Kevin Herter, especially you. You're white. I'm white. That's our thing. Sit in the corner, make the shot. Huh?
0 for 4 today.
Yeah, Kevin Herter, you're not safe. This rant will be about you too. But Karis LeVert, you have shown season long, right? You were a big signing. You were replacing Tim Hardaway or Malik Beasley, whichever one you came in to replace. And you came in and you replaced them like garbage. You should be held accountable, and you should get better, or, I don't know, probably send.
you know who else has been proven a fraud?
Who else?
Who stole money from the Pistons? The
Tobias
one and
Harris.
only Danis.
He stole
Danis
8 million.
Jenkins.
I mean, it's
He has done
Great rug pull.
nothing besides airball game-winning shots these past 5 games. Nothing. I think it's almost worse than these other guys
It's not
because
worse, and let me tell you why.
no, it
Look at his
is really.
contract. Look at Karis' contract. Danis Jenkins was not a known quantity coming into this year. Karis LeVert was.
Sure, but it's sort of funny to see Danis Jenkins finally gets a little bit of money, and all of a sudden he starts playing worse than Karis LeVert, statistically
Yeah,
speaking, at least.
he's been shooting 28% from the field and 17 from 3 since his contract.
So I don't know if he bought himself a little too much good things and backed himself with his money or something, but he's definitely not spending it in the right ways, at least if he wants to improve as a basketball player, that's for sure.
Here's the only thing I'll add to this. It seems like the guard play. We're nearing the end of the season. J.B. Bickerstaff has been known to struggle in the playoffs. I hope this is not what's happening to this team. I hope they're not getting overconfident. I hope JB is keeping them honest. But right now, it seems like at least this week, there's a lapse in the Pistons' mentality of what they need to do when they get on the floor. I know they've been injured a little bit. I know Cade didn't play against the Nets, but the Nets game you should still win without Cade, honestly.
Yeah, I mean they're also gonna have to face a team like the Hornets possibly in the playoffs in the first round. That's really not something you want to
It's
do.
not easy.
I mean the entire starting 5 of the Hornets, they have quite big personality issues and real life issues, but somehow when they play together, they're like 20-3. So I don't know how that works, but I could go into all of their character.
They brought Chino Hills to Charlotte.
No Hills and crime and other
Well,
things.
do not put Khan into this situation. Khan Knippel is an upstanding
Yeah,
citizen.
I'm saying Khan is like the complete contrast of everybody else.
Why do you guys
starting.
think Khan is a contrast?
Khan to Nipples?
You guys have a specific reason?
I don't know. He hasn't shown
Is
me
he
any,
actually-
character issues yet. LaMelo, the whole father.
Like, I
Miles
feel like there's a
Bridges,
lot
the
of guys
whole
on their team that
life,
haven't. I mean,
the-
LaMelo was there, obviously Miles Bridges, but Um,
Brandon Miller
Yeah,
gave
Brandon.
someone a gun,
Yeah.
killed
Brandon
somebody.
Miller's
And
irrelevant
then who's
now,
starting
I
at center?
guess.
Mark Williams.
Musa Diabate, who
Musa
just bought
Diabate.
Pistons, so had a
Yeah, I
wifey
don't
there
know.
too.
I think I don't know. The real criminal here is Malik Beasley. Did you hear what happened with him the other day, other week?
All at last I've heard of him, he was in Puerto Rico playing ball.
No, so he obviously he's being investigated by the NBA for all that gambling stuff.
Okay.
He allegedly, actually no, not allegedly because he admitted this, hasn't been paying his rent and hasn't been paying his doctors at all. So um there's a problem with his spend of money, whether that be he's either a douchebag that doesn't want to pay anybody his money, or he already wasted all his money from the Pistons contract. Whatever the reason is, maybe it's a good thing that he isn't back. I know he could shoot threes on like anybody else on our team, but do you really want a player that is a millionaire that doesn't pay rent,
Didn't he
doesn't pay your
scam the
anything else?
Lakers out of a crap ton of money and then, play like crap and then get released? Or what team did he scam? Because he has money, or he should, at the very least.
Yeah.
Well, it's apparently all gone now, so.
Before we move on from the Pistons, I want to give a shout out again to B-Ball Paul. Today he had played 6 minutes and got plus 11 along with Bobby Clinton. So, well, why is he not in the game more? I don't know. But you see that for 6 minutes and you're just like, nope, I want Marcus Sasser and
Harris LeVert,
whoever
let's go.
whoever else wants to play small ball out there. Let's just lose. I
Yep.
don't know.
Yeah,
Guys on the
honestly,
bench are pretty
of the
playing well.
bench guys, I honestly think Paul Reed is like the second best guy who comes off the bench behind Isaiah Stewart. And
Yes, he is quite good sometimes.
maybe Ron Holland is better, but honestly, the production I've seen from Basketball Paul has been more consistent and
He
in
had 10
bigger
points.
troves than that of Ron Holland's. So
But put Paul, why I don't know why we can't play, a
him at
little
the
more physically
four,
dominant.
you
Paul
can play
Paul Reed
Siakam
can
at the
shoot
four.
threes. He can shoot threes better than any of our guards.
Bro,
That's how
he had
that's how crazy it is. Okay, put him in. Try a lineup with him and Duran or him and Beef Stew and see what happens.
Here's the thing about this
But nope.
Heat team too. They were injured. You know what? I'll leave it at that. Andrew Wiggins didn't
he
play.
had 10 points, 5 boards, 2 steals, and a block in 6 minutes. And they just decided to take him out. So I don't know. I didn't see this,
I
but
swear,
I'm
if you
sorry.
look at his, per 40 minutes, or what is it, per 30, he might have the best stats in the NBA. If you look at his per 30, he might be putting on like Wilt Chamberlain numbers.
Let's see, per
No, but,
36.
but we have to let Tobias Harris, the post up fadeaway merchant, play at least 30 minutes a game because he's Tobias
Because
Harris.
he's scamming the Pistons out of 26 million or whatever whatever he's
Yeah.
getting paid. You know,
Yeah, he would average 18 and 12 on 64% from the field if he played 36 minutes. So
those are, that's like better Andre Drummond stats.
That's like Jalen Duren or even a little better than Jalen Duren. And Jalen Duren was an all-star. So, use
All I'm
that
saying,
information as you please.
all I'm saying. All right, let me just talk about Oakland for the last time this year because they suck. Northern Kentucky, right? You're a 7 seed in the Horizon League tournament, Northern Kentucky. You go to Auburn Hills, you go to the Blacktop, you play Oakland, and I didn't get to catch this whole game. We were playing our own basketball, and I checked my watch, I checked the sports thing, and I showed Olix, and we saw that they were down like 20 with 2 minutes left. Granted, here's the thing: they only lost by 1 point, but I would like to call some people out. Brett White, LinkedIn. Zaire Wells, LinkedIn. Brody Robinson, I love you. Unfortunately, he's a senior. He put up 33 in that game. He went 10 of 20 for 3 and made Horizon League tournament record number of threes in a game, and they still lost. He put up 30 points from just 3, and they lost on 50% shooting. Let that sink in. So, Oakland next year. Here's the big news out of the Oakland camp, right? This pertains to all of you because this is huge. Richard Hamilton's son is committed to the Oakland University, the University of Oakland. We're going to see Deuce Hamilton on the blacktop. Anyways, we can go to the Red Wings talk, where their season is also wrapping up, but trade deadline passed. They made some moves. If they had left at the first move, I would have been very disappointed, but they tried something, and I'm not mad at it. So, Alex, what do you think about David Perron, Justin Falk coming to the team?
Well, Perron is a literally there's no point. The pick that they got for Perron, or rather the pick they gave away for Perron, a fourth round pick at that, which is like basically nothing in the NHL, is contingent on if Perron even plays because his legs have disappeared underneath him. So that is just that was done to see if Wings fans would fall for the bait by
Just
Stevie.
bring it back for old time's sake. Run it back because we played so well
They're,
with
they're
it throughout the
still they're
first half.
still yeah reminiscing about that Montreal goal from 2 years ago when that literally didn't mean anything and they didn't make the playoffs regardless. Anyways, so that move is relevant. But then obviously then they traded Soderblom for picks, I believe, to make room for Falk. So it really was more so of a there was a little more on the line than just the picks and the prospects that the Wings gave away. They gave away a good young defensive player. So I really don't know. I honestly I think it was a move just meant to satisfy the fans because otherwise they would have been calling for Weiserman's head if he didn't make a single move. So it's a nothing move really. Hopefully Justin Falk shows shades of himself when he was at Carolina from 10 years ago. That I think he's gonna pair up with Ben Sherratt. What a line, by the way. Oh, the oldies and Ben Sherratt and Falk.
I think they're
Wow,
both
that's
33
gonna be
or something,
something.
right? They're both in their 30s
Yeah,
at least.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know really what to think about it. We didn't really give away too much, I
We
guess,
gave
for
away our
him.
first, so you know.
Yeah, but like for like there's only like 10 good prospects in the draft this year from the at least in the NHL. So I don't think there's going to be that much of an issue. Um, most of the guys we get later in the first round are go to the Grand Rapids Griffins and play at the AHL for their entire careers. So um, so yeah, I don't really have a concern about what we gave up. It's about if we can integrate Bulk into our system. I don't know if that's possible. But somehow I sit here saying all this, and I feel more confident about the Red Wings than I do the Pistons, even though the Red Wings are
I
on the
agree.
brink of not making the playoffs, and the Pistons are first in the East. So, you know, just make your conclusions, but somehow, some way, I have more hope and more confidence in Stevie than Trajan Langdon. So
You know,
that's that's
he
that's how bad the Pistons have treated us
at
this
least
year.
Stevie
In terms of
addressed a position
off
of need.
in terms of moves,
We
not in
we were
terms of
talking about needing a defender, and they went out and they got a guy who is granted 33, but he's a better second line defender. Give Gibson some help. That's what we've been saying since January. Get this guy some more bodies in front of him who can defend. Granted, the offense will slow down with Justin Falk on the ice, but defensively they'll be sound. He's not quite the same offensive player he was earlier in his career, but
I think he still has like 21 points this season, if I'm not mistaken. So not the worst
it's not the
offensively.
worst. I'm not saying that he's like a non-factor, but
Yeah, no,
no one
but
is most
it's
likely.
not the move. It's not like a guaranteed move that's going to make our defense better. It could if it does make our defense better, especially that depth, that second line. Um, then fair enough. Good scouting, I guess. But it's not something that guarantees us a better team. Which was sort of what we called for at the beginning of this like whole trade. You know, I guess season part of the year. Like again, we had a chance at Quinn Hughes, get him, and then quite surprisingly, actually in the NHL, there haven't been many big trades besides that Quinn Hughes trade. So
And that was
maybe
earlier in the
maybe it's
year.
not a Wings thing, maybe it's a league thing. So again, I don't know. Not a bad move. I'd call it a B to B plus move because it quiets the fans and increases the hope a little bit. Something new to change things up. But
He did play today, against the Devils. They didn't score. That game ended 3-0. So, maybe he is
maybe a good sign. Yeah.
maybe a good sign. But, the rest of this week has kind of been up and down for the Red Wings as well. They beat the Predators 4-2. They were in control that entire game, and I think one of the goals they scored was an empty net from 3-2 to 4-2. So, you know, they were in control the whole time. They beat kind of a hot Predators team who started off the year poor, so that's good. Against the Knights, they lose an OT. I guess you're happy to get out of that game with at least something in the point from the OT loss. But I think the game that matters the most, this has been a really good team for a long time in the NHL, in the Panthers, where they lost 3-1. So it's, I don't know if it's a sign of what's to come. Alex, you look like you have information.
Yeah. So I've obviously done my research. John Gibson played first time after his injury, so I think a week or two. He played tonight for the first two periods and was pulled out of the game for the third period. So that's a concern going forward. Hopefully he's okay. Um, a common theme, by the way, Gibson's back in goal. What happens?
Shut out.
Cut out. Right. So, maybe we're not talking about him as much as we should when it comes to the defense because he's been saving us a lot. But the fact that he's out, he's been pulled out mid-game. Hopefully that's just a safety thing because we were up, um, and not a genuine, injury that can last for longer, especially going into the playoffs. But again, man, is John Gibson, where did this come from? Like we're hoping that he can play. When in the beginning of the year we were hoping that Cam Talbot would be played instead of him. Um, quite how the tables have turned.
It's kind of like if I'm the
Um,
Red Wings right now, I'm in a difficult situation because I need John Gibson to get me to the playoffs, but I don't want to injure him to then not have him in the playoffs. So I think the minutes management that they're doing is kind of a trying to get the best of both worlds because you need him to actually get to the playoffs. Because I'm not saying Cam Talbot has been horrendous, but he's been worse, of course, than John Gibson. So monitoring that is, I think, priority number one for the Red Wings. Seeing how Justin Folk integrates with the rest of this team could also be very, significant to their chances, not just in the rest of the regular season, but in the playoffs. But hopefully they don't choke away at the end of the year, as they like to do sometimes. So
I mean, they've already been showing signs of that, but
they've been
maybe
showing
maybe the
signs of it, yeah.
Pistons take that away from them and do it themselves, and maybe that'll let the Red Wings win a couple of games. We'll see, I guess.
I already had my take on the chokes of Detroit teams. I just hope it doesn't, happen again.
Yep. 2.5 games from Boston, so
Oh
they have
man,
Tatum back.
yeah. All right, and I'm gonna pull out a new segment. It's vaguely Detroit related, but I'm watching the F1 races anyway, and Cadillac is definitely from GM, Detroit based, close enough. So we're gonna talk about it. Here's the thing: if you had watched this race, you would see that Cadillac got lapped 4 times in their debut race, but they didn't finish last. And I'm honestly my biggest internal battle is this a good or a bad weekend from Cadillac? Because this is your first ever race as an organization in Formula 1. And to finish, actually both the cars DNF'd. I would like to retract my statement. Um I think one of them, Valtteri Bottas, his car, yeah, no, they both DNF'd. They did not finish this race. But operationally, they still looked better than Aston Martin, who had been in the sport for a while. Aston Martin has been partnering with Honda, and they have taught us that communication is key to a good relationship. Because Honda was like, yeah, the engine is kind of bad. And Aston Martin was like, we got time. We got time. And then they go to November, and they realize they don't got time. That engine just sucks. And it showed. I think Fernando Alonso finished the race 14 laps down, and they came into the race not expecting to finish, which is just insane. This is insane. You're a $1 billion organization and you go into the race expecting your cars not to finish because the vibration is so intense that you cannot the car is undrivable. You literally get nerve damage if you drive more than 15 laps. That is just the case here. And another, vaguely related Detroit thing is the Red Bulls. They are powered by Ford, or at least will be next year. I think this year they're under, some Ford Red Bull partnership, but their car farted and kind of, the engine blew up or the gearbox did. One of the two. Isaac Hadjar, excellent weekend. Car just exploded. It didn't explode, but car undrivable. Error everywhere. Max Verstappen in qualifying, his rear suspension breaks and he goes straight into the wall. So he has to start from the back and just make his way up. It's, it's kind of, I really hope that Cadillac is the team here that we're going to zero in on, because they're the ones with the GM power unit. They're the ones who, need to show that Detroit is a motor city. If they continue to kind of suck, there's a whole debate about not letting them in the sport because they would suck. And Aston Martin is single-handedly saving them from the distinction of the worst team this year. By the end of the year, they will definitely finish last. Only because Aston Martin has done this before. They will be able to develop. They have been in the sport long enough. In terms of the front runners, Mercedes, they look unstoppable. Ferrari, doing Ferrari things. They could have won this race, but they decided to have an aneurysm twice. And I'll leave it at that. Lando, he just didn't have the pace. His teammate, right? This was just like a whole sitcom. His teammate's Australian. They race in Australia. His teammate on the warm-up lap put it in the wall. His car snapped in half, but in front of his home fans before he even made it to the grid. So I really I really hope this year is as interesting as it's come out to be, but yeah.
Man, so I guess the more you talk about it, the more related it is to Detroit sports based on how many failures there have been just this one week. So.
Most of them were kind of Detroit related is the thing, but one of them was a skill issue in Oscar Piastri just hitting the wall, and the other one was Ferrari's incompetence, which has been a thing for about a decade at this point. So
wow. Millions and billions of dollars just to not function properly. That's great.
Yeah, it's really
not even expect to finish.
Hire Mark Chauka for mechanic for engineer.
Yep.
For the
they don't even need like engineering's there, just like they need a hint of common sense in Ferrari. The LinkedIn is out there. If y'all are School of Engineering, if y'all need some Oakland talent, let a brother know. I got y'all. I'll give good info. I'll give good insight that no one will care about. And I don't know if you guys want to also comment about Tarek Skubel's whole World Baseball fiasco. Leading on to a little bit of Tigers talk. What did you guys think about that?
Great start to the season for him. First pitch homer. Yeah, no, I mean he after that he performed as well as one would expect. But I think the main question here is if he'll start another game in the WBC. He seems like he might want to, but he's unsure. And that's just like there's a debate in his mind about money versus actual like passion for a sport and love for a sport. And originally that money part was much louder. But I guess we'll see what happens. Hopefully the Tigers can use him until he bleeds to death so that no one else can use him after if we're not going to re-sign him. That's the mentality I think every sports team should have if they know there's going to be a free agent. Just make sure before he goes, just use the heck out of him. Make sure every single drop of Tarek Skubal is drunk by the team, used up, and
So what you're
When
saying
and
is you
Shohei,
want him to be dry. You want him to be
by the time he leaves, yeah, sure, I
all
guess.
right. Sure. That's not how I would have put it.
it just has to be a not having a love or something, or because Shohei does it. So I'm sure Otani will continue to play.
He's all I'll
He'll
say
be
is he's due based on the timing of like how much he's been pitching and stuff. Most most pitchers would get an injury around this point of their career, and Tarek Skubal's lined up for that perfectly. So we'll see what happens, but
I mean, he doesn't ever pitch more than like 5 or 6 innings anyways, so I don't know if that's been helping him or what.
plus
But
the
it seems like he
playoffs.
can't.
Yeah.
He just can't do anything. He just gets taken out for a relief pitcher very
No, it
early
gets
compared
taken
to
out, and
over
then you
Verlander.
and then you lose a run lead, and then you lose the entire series and get kicked out of and go to Cancun. That reminds me of something that happened not too long ago. Maybe it was something that happened in the very last game of their season last year. Anyways, maybe this season they'll learn from their lessons and use him for all 9 innings because they don't care about his future anymore. So again, something to look at going forward.
At least the relievers that they've added more relief in the pitching. The Tigers have. So I'm not. I'm still saying that we should use Scooble. If we can't have the nice toy, then hopefully someone doesn't have the best version of the nice toy. So use him as much as you can. Just keep him ready for the playoffs, because hopefully they make it, and hopefully they don't choke a 14 inning game.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to Three Benchwarmers Podcast, and I'd like to leave off the episode, and with this note, and I think we can, all say bye.
Are you doing the? I can't hear it. Are you trying to do the hail to the victors? Yeah, that was where I lost. We couldn't hear it. Anyways, uh, thank you guys for listening, for watching. All our socials are listed here: Instagram, Spotify, X, TikTok, Instagram. Go follow us on all of those. And yeah, until next week.